faked our deaths, lit a match, closed the door, waited for the flash. Greyhound station, paid in cash. It's Lazarus, we're coming back. They say it's darkest before the dawn. We've been in this town for far too long. They say it's darkest before the dawn. We're moving on, we're moving on, we're moving on. Sunset, no regrets. First chance, last man, stuck in the middle. Even bad girls, no good love. You taste so sweet, it hurts a little. Make our home where we stand. One suitcase and half a plan. Follow the wolves and sing along. Pass the voices to the song. They say it's darkest before the dawn. We've been in this town for far too long. They say it's darkest before the dawn. We're moving on, we're moving on, we're moving on. Sunset, no regrets. First chance, last man, stuck in the middle. Even bad girls, no good love. You taste so sweet, it hurts a little.
Hello everyone. Let's just switch over to my blotter here. If I can just get a sound check and an audio check while this thing is actually starting to trade. What's going on here? Let me know everything's good in the chat below. You guys, in theory, should be seeing my screen now. Let me just check here. Sounds good. Looks good. Everything's good. Fantastic. I hope everyone's surviving okay in the marketplace. Things are wild again, which I don't think surprises a lot, but that's the market we're in. So while people kind of delve in here, if you're new to what's going on here, we grab one of the guys at Trade Ideas who's a trader and an educator, and we just take over the stream here for an hour midday for a full Q&A session. So you guys can ask anything about trading or trade ideas or the product or how to set something up, or you want to see how something works, you can go right ahead. And then in the meantime, we just kind of, shoot the shit about the market and what's going on and talk about, new features and things that we're playing with. So I'm going to take a second while there is a lull and go over the new feature that actually was just released. And I did a video for, let me put in the chat. I did a video for this yesterday, and it's a new feature that we have available right now if you go and download the beta. Grab this here and I'll put this in chat. So this is our similar tab, we call it. All right, this is video there in chat for anyone who wants to take a look at it. But essentially, and I think there's going to be some use to it, especially in this market. If you open any single stock window, you should see this similar tab here. If you don't, then you're just not on the latest beta. So you can go to our website, you can go to the download page, and we put the beta right under the launch version. So essentially, what does this do? It takes whatever stock you're looking at, so any stock that you click in Trade Ideas, it updates here and says, what is a similar stock to it? And we sort that by two different ways that we take a look at it. The first one is just taking a look and saying, okay, what are the competitors? And this is something that was a trading style that was very, very big in the past and kind of interesting now as well, where if you saw a move in something like Pepsi or Coca-Cola or Apple or something, you could go and say, okay, is this, whatever is moving this, do I think this is industry-wide? And if it is, let me quickly go to my similar tab here and just click on competitors and see what else is moving. So for example, if Apple says that there's a lithium shortage, which would be a shortage of the batteries that everyone uses to power their devices, you may want to say, okay, well, that's also going to affect Fitbit, for example, here, which is in the same type of an industry because they're also developing, portable electronic devices, and see whether or not that move has taken place in this other security. So what we're looking to do from here is just to give you quick access to competitors in kind of the same industry, right? Dell also makes computers. Lenovo also makes computers. I would argue that Apple is more of a cell phone and chip manufacturer at this point, but this is the sector that they're still in. And that's how we find that competitors. It's anything that exists within the same sector at which that strategy is classified at. Let me raise this up a bit so you guys can see a little bit more of the bottom there, I just noticed. So also, if you flip the switch down to price action, and this is something that will continue to be a work in progress, I would imagine, for a fairly long period of time, and that is kind of trying to use some algorithms to say, okay, what kind of looks similar to this stock? So we have Apple up here. We can take a click, and we can see DocuSign looks quite similar on the daily chart to Apple. Now, this is something that's going to be a bit weird because everybody looks at a chart and sees a completely different thing depending on what they're focusing on. It's like that exercise they say, step into a room and tell everybody to count how many red things there are. And then when they're done counting that, ask how many blue things there are. And they just don't know because that's not what they were focused on. So this will be a little bit different depending on what you're focused on. But it's trying to use things like the position in the couple month range and the change recently and the move recently. So, depending on time frame, depending on what you're looking at, it's going to be a little different for everybody. But it's a great way just to say, okay, maybe I'm a pullback trader and I found a stock that has a nice clean pullback that I'm interested in. Let me quickly find what other stocks are like that as well. Another thing that's great about it is if you find a list that you really like and you want to examine further. So if I'm under DocuSign and I have this list of stocks now which are very interesting for software publishers, for this particular environment with the virus and everything that's going on, it may make sense. I guess a fundamental reason is if you're a software publisher, you're probably going to be one of the least hurt because you can just get your people to work from home and continue to go the way you go. And this thing's kind of auto trading away here, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. So you can right click and pop out. And then it just creates a little top list for you here where you now have this list of all these software publishers that are interesting, and you can go through and click through them here. So it's a great way just to say, hey, if you get a list that you like, then you can just kind of manage that list here. So that's a similar tab. It's a very interesting thing as we can continue to kind of expand out the single stock window and making it more and more powerful. For a while there, it was one of the least used tools I think that we had, but it's becoming one of the most now just because of the power that it has, where it's constantly kind of evolving and saying, okay, well, what can we put in this? And I like just the tabbed format. To be honest, I would kind of like it if they could throw a chart in here or something too. And then, to be honest, all I would need intraday is my brokerage plus and this particular chart, because even though I have some scans up here, I don't use them too much. I take a look at these volatility stops kind of based off my holdings, but to be honest, I don't really look much intraday. So if you don't know who I am, I guess I'll introduce myself because I'm not around the horn as much as a lot of people out there, but my name is Michael Bonpara on Twitter and YouTube. I consult with trade ideas, and mainly what I do is building out the artificial intelligence. So my study in trading is a lot more on the automated side, the more technical side, using statistical analysis and combining them with technical analysis and trading from there. I mainly swing trade now, but I have some algorithms that run intraday, and I continue to run those myself as well. So let's take a look at ADC here. It's actually getting a bit of a move. Let's raise that stop up a little bit. So this is a simulated account that I have. I run multiple accounts, and it was one thing that I thought about kind of chatting about. And again, this is a Q&A session. So in the box that you see either to your right or below, ask any question you have about trade ideas or trading or the markets, or, you know, even if you just want to spark up a conversation about it, and we'll get going. But as someone, I had just a question someone asked me on Twitter the other day and said, I was talking about how excited I was for the simulated trader, and they said, but as a live trader, why would you ever use a simulated trader? And I think the massive part about this that a lot of people don't understand is that even if you are an experienced trader and you're day trading for a living and all of this, it's still great to have a simulator and to use it frequently. So what I do in this account, for anyone who knows me, I do all of my trading on AWS servers, but this is actually a downloaded version of Windows that I run natively on my Mac through Parallels. And this is where I do all of my work because there's less of a lag when you're working on it than a cloud computer. But what I also do here is run any automated strategies I have. So for now, let's just take a look at these in which I'm working on. And before I get asked, unfortunately, they cannot be shared. They use some custom metrics to them, and they may be entering our artificial intelligence soon. But why would I, as a automated trader, and this is a conversation I've actually had in support recently, use the simulator? And it's basically because there's a wide difference in between the back-tested world and the real world. So these are the two strategies that are built, obviously look absolutely phenomenal. However, when you're looking in back tests, it assumes certain things. It assumes, great fills. If there's any bad ticks that may have gotten you in or out of a position somewhere else, they don't apply here as well. So what we have to do is we have to take this kind of general idea we have about building strategies and then do what we called walk forward testing. And this is what I use the simulator for the most, where I go from building some strategies like this, which I do in backtest, and I can go through and I can review how well they did. Any of these crazy spikes you see here are because of 1 or 2 days that have happened in this crazy environment. This is, this kind of candle here for what happened dwarfs everything else. So what I do is I then load them into the backtester or into the simulated trader, and I have them trading. So that's what's going on here, is that these particular algos are now popping up here, trading kind of live in real time. And it does a couple things for me. One is it allows me to optimize based off a back test bit of data. And, go back and say, okay, here it is. Here's how it's working in backtest, and here's how it worked in simulation. But the problem with that is that when you're optimizing from it, you can get into a situation called curve fitting, where essentially you're making your data points fit the actual market. And what we see a lot of, and what I see as a lot of as someone who mentors algorithmic traders, is that they do the back test, think they figured something out, instantly on to real money, or they instantly move to creating other strategies. They'll have like 20 strategies on the go, and they don't understand that some strategies work well sometimes and not work well other times. So, the best thing to do with a simulator is just to go through and say, okay, let me load them up and then track them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to track how well my fills were. Did I get filled on everything I should have? If not, maybe the liquidity is a bit of an issue with the strategy. And then, of course, are they profitable on a going forward basis once I built them? And then away we go. Trade them, see how the fills are, see how they work in a simulated world. And then the next additional step is to start trading them with live money small. But again, you have to go and take these steps, and that's kind of, I guess, what you're seeing here on the sim. Still no questions, but feel free to ask away. I know it's a slow Friday, and we'll keep this going for a bit. And if there ends up being nothing, we'll end a bit early. But I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the weekly charts. So, generally speaking, and especially in this market, you should wait for the candle to close on this one. But every day I go through this same kind of list here. Index. Let me grab this. I just go through this top list that has, pretty much any of the well-known ETFs on them. And then from there, sector analysis. Let's start from scratch here. And I go through them on a daily chart. And then at the end of the week, I go through them on a weekly chart. And on the end of the month, I go through them on a monthly chart. So make that on the ETFs. And since we're coming to the end of the week and we're about halfway through the day, and to be honest, with everything going on, I would not be shocked if we don't do much today. I know people are kind of jazzed for a whole lot of action going on, but it's getting to the point where it is a little bit kind of nerve-wracking, I guess, in order to hold anything throughout the weekend. So I wouldn't be shocked if we have just a complete inside day here. So step one is to always go through them on a daily chart and then back through them on the weekend or on the weekly chart. And really what you're going to see is kind of what exactly you expect to see on this, is that, we've completely fallen apart here. We're back into this range that we got in from in 2019. We basically had this kind of chop around period for most of what the year was. And then late in the year, we had this kind of insane rally out. So we've just kind of revisited this chop and slop. And I wouldn't be surprised if we spend a long period of time kind of back in this area between, let's call it 188 on the Qs down to 150. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if that's where we spend a next long period of time, which is okay. IBB, the biotech industry on lows as well. IWM, you can see IWM is a bit worse out of the bunch. If we scroll back, it really didn't have that rally that the other ones did. So the small caps, we can see a bit of relative weakness in through here. XLF, again, everything's looking the same here, and then the USO oil with the war with the Saudis and everything just getting killed. And as a Canadian myself, that's not good for our economy, because that's mostly what we do is just produce different oils, different oil and oil related products. All right, so over to the weeklies. And as a big kind of candlestick analysis guy, this is something that I spend a lot of time looking at. So start with oil. We can see we've gapped out of this incredibly long range that we've happened here. We've been kind of just smacking around this range here for a very long time. Spent a little bit above, a little bit below, but this goes back to 2016. Oil hasn't really moved at all. So we've gapped out of it, and it looks like we're putting in a kind of topping tail type of pattern where we tried to rally throughout the week, and that rally was kind of met with ugliness right off the bat. XLF, same type of move, right? Just another red. We had this red igniting bar, a kind of a small, almost inside bar, and then just a gap down, a continuation here. So no signs right now of support. We only know where potential support may lie, but it's not something that we want to say is support until we've actually seen it tested in some way. I want this line like that. So we're in the middle of where we kind of bounced prior here. So it'll be interesting to see if this is something that takes hold over the next little bit. IWM, again, everything's kind of got the same look here, which is not at all good. And the other thing to note is you notice I have this relative volume column in. So this is comparing what the markets are doing now to what they normally do. So even on a day like today that still feels a little bit slow, go into the daily chart here, you can see we're still doing 3 times normal volume. Back here we were doing up to 10 times normal volume, which was insane, but 3 times normal volume for the market is pretty substantial because the moves seem to be a little bit less kind of crazy. So again, I got my eyes on chat. If there are any questions, let me know. We'll leave this open for as long as we need to. If there are no questions, then we may switch back to Barry a little bit earlier. So what's next, and what's my plan? And my plan has actually been, I just want to keep an eye on these auto trades that I'm testing. My plan so far has been to do kind of absolutely nothing. And that's, as someone who swing trades most, I've taken a couple scalps. I've got some intraday algorithms that I'm running on my live account, but not really looking for anything. Just, grab some money and away we go. Sean asks, how is Canada going to survive with no hockey? We'll just have to find other stuff to fight about, I guess. Brawls in the street. He'll be fine. As long as there's beer production in Canada, beer and maple syrup is up, then we're good to go. So what is the bot doing here? So I can give you the kind of the premise behind this algo. I can't share the algo itself, but the theory behind it is, if you've ever paid any attention to Steve Gomez and his trading, he talks a lot about the 10-period moving average as a guiding hand. So that's why I've called it the guiding hand. I'm working on it. Let's see. ADC is probably a good example. So essentially what I'm looking for here, and this is kind of how I build algorithms, is I take a look at what I think other traders are going to find interesting. So essentially for this, it needs a gap up of 3%. And this is why the numbers are a bit kind of wonky right now, is because everything is gapping up or down 3% every day. So it makes it kind of harder to run back tests in situations like that. actually edit these. I think these may be stopping it, and I don't. It's paper, so let's open them up a bit. They were just stopping at 10 trades, and I want them to trade more just so I can get more data. So what it's looking for is a stock to gap up and to pull back, but then to find, let me actually put the 10-day SMA here and remove all the other. So remove the 200 and the 20 and the 8 and just put in the 10 here. There we go. Oh, I thought I removed those. Remove, and remove. All right, so this one blue line is the 10-day SMA, which is, again, Steve calls the guiding hand, and I've noticed it quite often where a stock or the market will make a initial move early and then seemingly wait for the 10-period moving average to catch up. Maybe that there's revision to the mean algorithms that are based off a distance from moving average, so they help hold it firmly to one. So ADC is a perfect example. We had a gap up here and we had a pullback, but it wasn't interested in this pullback because it was too far from the moving average. So we had another push up and a pullback, and it settled right in there at the 10. So again, I'm not interested in taking it there. So what I've told the system is to wait for it to look like it's breaking resistance on the way out. And again, that's what you see here with this algorithm. The SPY is going to be the telling factor for a lot of things. It's just not looking too good. But you can see the same type of action here in VAR. We've had a gap up over yesterday's range, a pullback. It wasn't interested in this pullback. Pushed higher, pulled back again, and was only interested on this pullback here. So it purchased some in, and right now I have it just auto setting the stop at the low of the day. But what I do a lot of when I'm doing this forward testing is I'm looking to see exactly how far the stock moves against me before it turns profitable. And what I'll do is I'll kind of take an average there and use that to try to decide what a stop should be. So if we look at VAR, it really didn't move at all against us. It's, maybe 40 cents on this stock, absolute maximum. WY, same type of thing, gap up, pull back, held in on the 10 here, but since it was still moving down, wasn't interested. When it broke up here, that's where we got interested, and it looks like it kind of pushed up right away. So it seems like a stop under that 15-minute low may be logical, but we obviously need more days of testing in order to figure that out here. CCEP, Coca-Cola, same thing, gap up, pull back, not interested on the pullback, but only interested on the rally back through. And funny thing to note is there is a short algorithm for this same type of strategy that hasn't triggered off at all today. The question is, any gotcha quirks when developing a strategy, filters we should use for an algorithm? I would say the most important filters are the ones that most people look over, in which they're talking a lot about volume and liquidity. So for example, if we open up a new one here, we have a lot of different liquidity filters. However, basically any liquidity filter you add generally hurts performance, because the more liquid the stock is, the less it moves. So people get discouraged and they say, okay, well, this only works on high spread, low volume stocks, so I'm just going to use that. But the problem is that it's you're not simulating the real world where fills are going to be an issue. Especially in fast moving markets, especially in liquidity in illiquid markets. So I would take a look at the amount of shares today. I think this is a great filter where it's not talking about the average daily volume, because I'm not really concerned with the average daily volume when I'm interested in day trades. For example, some people say, oh, you take the average daily volume and put 1 million shares in there. Well, what if the stock was trading 800,000 shares a day, but today it's trading 2 million? And you're just going to miss out on that trade because it was under your average volume. But if you're a day trader, it really shouldn't matter. So I take a look at the shares that are going on today, because again, all we are concerned about is liquidity, right? No day trader or short-term swing trader saying what's the revenue and what's the quarterly earnings growth or anything. But it's, can I get in and can I get back out, and everything else is kind of technical from there. Another one that's really good that we have is just called spread. And this is just the distance between the bid and the ask in pennies. It's just important to say, okay, I'm not going to take a stock that has a $2 spread. If you are going to do that, and that's fine, just make sure that you're equating that into your back test. So if you go into the back test here, we have a little bit of a slippage. Okay, just run it from here. We have an area here in which you can program in slippage. A lot of people will ignore defining what they need their spread to be, and then be upset when either they don't get filled or their returns are much worse because they're kind of pushing one way or the other. So this is a back test that I've run here. You can go into right here, and you can say commissions per share. So if I'm okay with a stock having a 25-cent spread, then I need to say I'm okay with then losing 25 cents in, and then losing 25 cents out. And if I'm not okay with that, then I have to put in a tight spread type filter. And then last but not least, for liquidity filters, and this is one that takes a little bit of explanation, but I think is very important, and that is the distance from inside market. And okay, let's take a look at, I think we have some bad ticks on the SPY here in the post market. Yeah, so these ticks that happened down here on the SPY didn't actually occur, right? They were things that happened out of the money. Maybe they happened yesterday. Maybe there were two agreements between two firms that kind of settled up. And often you see these things in stocks too, but we actually have a filter that will help filter those out, and we just call it distance from inside market. So essentially what this filter does is the inside market is your bid and your ask. And say your bid on a stock is $10 and your ask is $10.01. If, for example, a print came through at $20 a share, an algorithm may say, oh, look, you got short at $20 a share, and then you covered at $10 again, where there was no possible way to get that fill. That fill was just kind of done out of the money in, a dark pool settlement or a hedge fund peer-to-peer transaction, or maybe they're just settling a trade that got busted a while ago. So if you put kind of a cap of this and say, well, I don't know, 1%, it's basically going to say if that print occurred more than 1% outside of that bid and ask, then just ignore it. It's not interesting. It's not something that's achievable, and just kind of ignore it. So those are the big three liquidity filters that I think are very important. And what you'll notice is, generally speaking, as you add more liquidity to any strategy, it can degrade performance just because of, again, the length of time it takes, the amount of force, I guess, it takes to move a stock, right? This Bank of America, I think I'd seen, just came through here. We'll just click on this one. Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley is an insanely liquid company with 13 million shares traded today. That just means it's going to take more pressure one way or another to move that than maybe something else. We're getting active here on this algorithm. So this shows me, first of all, I need to do some filtering. And that's, I'm testing this to see if it's going to be presented to the AI. And the AI does a lot of its own filtering and optimization itself, but it's a great way to kind of find out, how it would feel to trade this. And right now it's kind of overwhelming, and we are just long all of these trades. So, we're going to have a hell of a correlation to the market, which is just something that I need to consider when I'm building these ones. This question is, also found that I can export odds maker data to recalculate performance per risk amount. Do you have another trick I could use instead? Not at this time. I've actually brought that up to the devs and said, because we have something in the Brokerage Plus that says risk per trade, we should develop that into the backtester as well. The problem with changes to the backtester is that it's such a robust system, and it calculates so much data, and it's responsible essentially for the AI. So we have to be very careful when we're making tweaks to it, because if we break that, then we also kind of, in a sense, break the AI as well. So for now, just do it manually. But what I'll say is, if the strategy is profitable, if it is profitable trading, 100 shares per trade, but not profitable if you're risking $50 per trade, then it's not really a good strategy that's going to hold up over time. So, don't stress it too much, right? Your goal is to certainly just come up with something that's going to have some sort of a win total, right? So just don't get too lost in the weeds, I guess, is the biggest thing here. We are getting so many trades here. That's okay. So what you're seeing now, I guess, is a little bit of a look behind the curtains of how Holly's made. So I came up with some ideas from talking to Steve, and then I spent hours upon hours running back tests and read a couple academic studies about moving averages, and saw that there is some statistical validity in these kind of long-running academic type studies. And then I built it, and it back tests well, and I tested it for different environments, and now I'm just going to run it live for a couple weeks, and if they work live, then they get to go into the system. And that's kind of just the way it goes, where the benefit of Holly is that it does a good job of saying this no longer works, take it out, or this works very well, leave it in. But for it to get to that point, there just needs to be some vigorous testing done just to ensure that, we're not just dumping in garbage, right? It's the power, I think, that the AI has is that it's built kind of by traders for traders. It's not built by quants. So we're not trying to solve the market with math, because if you could solve the market with math alone, I think it'd be done. So what we do a lot of is, talking to different traders, seeing what they're doing, trying to figure out what's working and what's not, and what different traders do. And then from there we say, okay, it's working in theory, and now let's put it in practice. So the question is, I have many subscriptions. I think I've got like 4 or 5 different ones for testing different things, but, and my own personal trading as a trader myself. You can, and the question was about trading live in IB, and then testing things in the sim, and you can do that. And all you have to do is, when you're setting up the strategy, you can just right click, and under accounts, you just point it to different accounts. So this one's only set up to a simulated trader. But if there was other accounts here from Interactive Brokers, you would see those as well. So you can point some to a sim and some to live. And then if you want to look at different ones, you can just open up a new positions window and just say, I just want to look at this one account. And you'll be able to see that there, where you can, instead of going through, you can see just kind of multiple different, see it's loading in that account. But for example, instead of going and saying all accounts, you could say, I just want the simulated trading account here. And then the other question is trading IB live and demo. The problem is we can't do that because of IB, right? So IB will not allow you to have two versions open at the same time. So because they can't let you have two versions open, we couldn't connect to the two different ports if we wanted, right? So IB has just live or just paper, depending on what you're booted up into. So you can connect both IB live or IB paper and sim paper, or R paper if you really want it. But if you want to have them both connected, if you want to have IB live and R paper, you can do it. Just be very careful and note that you want to make sure that all of these different strategies are pointed in the right direction. It could certainly get confusing for people who may not be experienced in doing that kind of thing. So just make sure you know, and this is obviously way too much trading. So what I've learned today is I've got to filter out this algorithm a little bit to see that there's a little bit less going on. But yeah, so you could, in theory, and I did this for a while, had two monitors up, and I had one monitor running a simulator and then the other one running a live version, and then just had them split up by opening up different windows, having a different grids. So I'd have just a position grid of all the simulated stuff on one side and all the live stuff on the other, and then I export them all to Excel and then verify them versus what the fills are. Fortunately, it seems like this strategy has a really good fill rate so far. So that means that the liquidity is on point. It's just obviously way too much. It's going to look amazing today if we have a nice lift here in the SPY, and it will look horrible today if we don't. And I want the strategies to be a little bit more nuanced than that, than just kind of this basket style trading, which again is working great, but I don't know if there's too much to be learned from all of this action. And again, very interesting to note that none of these shorts have triggered. So I may need to include some SPY related filters to it just to make sure it's not buying only as the SPY is lifting. Yeah, it's still filling. Crazy thing. And this is a perfect reason why you put an algo in the sim first, because you can get a bit crazy if you're not careful. Now you can always cap off right here, and right here you can cap how many trades you get, but again, things can still get wild. That's why it's always important to watch your bot. Someone says the AI is sucking for you today. The AI is about flat if you're just trading it in moderate mode. Take a look at everything that's going on here. So yeah, if you're trading it in moderate mode, it's about even, give or take. Again, if a 1 day loss is really upsetting you, then you're just trading too large. Otherwise, note that there'll be down days for everything. This doesn't look like it's a down day. It's about flat, but there will be down days, and there will be series of down days. And anyone who tells you that they've built a strategy that doesn't have a series of down days is full of it. And, that's just the way it goes. So make sure whatever you've decided your position size is something that can withstand a large series of down days. There's a couple, that you can Google the Kelly criterion or the risk of ruin formula. There's a handful of kind of mathematical formulas that you should apply to your trading. I just saw that they did that. That's kind of cool. That came right under here. So yeah, apply again the Kelly criteria or the risk of ruin formula. Google them and see how big you should be trading each trade. But to be honest, everything here in kind of moderate mode, it looks flattish. I've turned off most of. I kind of have a hard and fast rule that if we get halted in the pre-market, I don't trade that day. Other than maybe a scalp here or there if I really see something that's setting up. And we were halted in the pre-market today, so I'm sitting pretty much on cash. Actually, let me go over to another area I have here and test. And yeah, that seems to be the case over here. Still sitting in cash, except kind of one or two swings that I had carried over. So if the AI is showing flat for the day in most modes and you're having a bit of a problem with it, then away you go. Running best of moderate conservative mode. If you're there, my suggestion is always if you're there and able to watch it all day, you run it in moderate mode. And what moderate mode means is essentially that you're going to be using your own trailing stops as opposed to the system's. Or you're just going to let everything go all day. But I find that when I mix moderate and conservative, it doesn't... it feels like you're kind of chasing that dragon, I guess. So every time I auto trade the AI, which I do, I mostly trade Neo here. I trade it all in moderate mode, and then I manage the exits myself. I just feel that there's a nice power to managing those exits to make sure that you can hopefully get a better out than in most cases, where it looks like 2 out of 3 were just kind of stopped out right away, and then EBS is just kind of trying to make up for what everyone else didn't do today. So if I was in this, I would just kind of have my stop, I think, above this, right below $59 right now. Nice wide. Kind of let it run in case that market does get a lift. But again, there'll be days where I'm sure every single trade within Holly will lose. There may be a week where every single trade that Holly makes will lose, and that's just trading. If you've got a 90% win rate, and flip a coin and say you've got a coin weighted so that it will land towards you 90% of the time, and just do that sit there for an hour and flip it and see how many consecutive 10% rolls you have, right? The math behind it's pretty simple. That's why I talk about the Kelly criteria and risk of ruin formula. So sizing based off stop loss of $100, that might be light depending on the size of your account. The 0.5% of your account seems to be kind of a standard number. But again, Google the risk of ruin, the Kelly criteria, and then just avoid any mentions they have of the martingale principle. That one is super dangerous. But those are just simple math equations you can do based off your formula and based off how much you're correct, which is all numbers you should be tracking. And if you're not, you're going to have problems. But you should see how accurate the AI is for you based off what you're trading it. You should be recording that. And once you have just a good understanding of those numbers, you can just plug them into that equation and find out how much you should be risking per individual trade. Math is fun, but probably just for me and not for anyone else. Okay, guys, another 13 minutes until Barry is back, so ask all the questions you want about trading or life or whatever. I know Barry's always clamoring to come back as quick as they can. So thanks for the advice. First day using Holly with B Plus Live. It's great. Again, start small. I don't think $100 per trade in the most volatile market we've had in 15 years for your first day probably isn't the best way to do it. I would probably recommend going and doing $10 based off stop loss until you get what feels the best to you as a trading plan around it. It's, if you can't make money risking $10 per trade, you will not make money risking $100 a trade. The market will always be there, and the AI will always be there now. And part of my job is to work to make it better. And we've got a couple cool things on the horizon that will certainly help with that. But so just make sure you're comfortable with it. You're easing yourself in slowly. Apologies. I'm being protected from a squirrel or something, I'm sure. There, let me close my office door real quick. I basically live in the woods, and I swear if a squirrel farts, that dog just freaks out and goes flying out the door. But I guess that's why we keep them around. So yeah, ease into everything slowly, right? You can see here I'm, as an experienced algo trader, I'm still paper trading anything that I have that's a new algorithm, although this one looks very promising just looking at these entry points on these charts. This is definitely something I'm going to be interested in adding to the AI. Question, any plans to do multiple orders on the chart? Seems you can only do one at a time. I have not tried to do multiple orders. Let's try to buy here. Oh, do I have anything set up here for the... yeah, maybe you can only do one at a time. I will ask that. I would imagine so. But I'll ask for sure. We've just released the feature, so I'm sure we're waiting to see how much interest it is in it, how much people use it, things like that, and we're definitely going to work to make it better. Looks like Neo is doing well now. Yeah, so there'll definitely be expansions to that feature in the near future, I'm sure. I like it. One of the main things we're going to do with it is we're going to allow you to set good to cancel orders. That will be one of the first additions that you'll see to it, kind of in this area. You'll be able to... Where is it? Yeah. So if you do a limit and then you do time and force, there's going to be an option here for good to cancel orders, which is great. Essentially means that you could go through your system and just put in the buy-in or the kind of the trading areas, say buy here, put your stop here and do all that. You could set that up and then go to work or whatever for the day and have those orders triggered for you, which is a more and more popular way I'm seeing of people trading, where they're, kind of more and more interested to say, hey, I just want to set up everything and then have a system run it while things are going on. So far, this is a great This looks good for a new Holly algorithm, but of course it's only one day, and I think the SPY is just basically doing what all these stocks are doing, which is, yeah, just all kind of lifting all at the same time. So not really a huge amount of data to get caught from this, but an 89% accuracy today with a 55 profit factor, you certainly can't complain about. So I'll do tests like this where I'll run anything that's interesting for, say, a week or so. And generally what I'll do is I'll open up a different position tab for each individual strategy just to have a quick snapshot of how each one worked on its own. So you can go new and position grid. Oh no, I did tab. Let's get rid of that. So new, window, position grid. And then you can isolate it by a single strategy. So if I wanted to look at this one, you can see there's none there today. But say I'm testing 4 strategies at once, I'll just have 4 different position windows open. And then at the end of the day, I'll be able to see all of the stats here on how each one did that day, whether or not what was the win rate, what was the risk reward, how much capital did it take up, risking, how we show Holly risk it, which is $100 per trade, and just seeing what the win rates are there. And then I'll track these forward 2-3 weeks, and if they hold up after the back testing that I've done, then they get presented into Holly, and away you go. So if you see any reference to the guiding hand in Holly Grail over the next few weeks, you know a bit about how that strategy was made and how it was tested. And this is all before, the millions of simulations that Holly runs on each of these each night, using kind of Monte Carlo random ordering and out of sample data and all that fancy stuff. This is just done with the bare bones backtesting tool that Trade Ideas has. So it's interesting how much work we put into these even before they kind of make it to prime time. It's how much work they get into, whereas most people just build them and away we'll go. So regarding the chart buttons, I've tried this, but it will allow you to decide when you have orders. Oh, you know what might be stopping this, actually? Let's go in. I think you may be able to do multiple orders if... let me do this. Edit. And let me untick send orders once per day per strategy and see if it will let me now. Maybe not. Edit. I think it may be. Yeah, there it is. Buy. Oh, so it is buying more. Those are market orders. 1 second. I think I might have figured it out here live on TV. Limit. Okay. Whoops. So just, what's going on here? This one's weird. Let me look into this one, and I'll get back to you. I think it's something we may have to add. My theory was that it may be because... oh, yeah, here you go. It may have been because we have 2 settings here, and it says the first one is send orders at once at most per day for this strategy, and the second one is send orders when holding exists for this symbol. So if you have either of those checks, it may be stopping you from sending orders because there's already existing orders out there for that trade. What I have to do is I have to go in and check and see if that's what's blocking it, or if it's something else. But that may be it. But if it is not set up that way, I'll bring it up, and I'm sure they can add that to it. Just seeing all the closures of everything over in our little Slack chat. We've got people from all over the world at Trade Ideas, and away we go. yeah, and this is one of the things that I really like about these live sessions is that we're here hanging out and answering questions, but at the same time we get a little bit of feedback and we get to talk about the markets, and I take that feedback and any feedback that I see about Brokerage Plus, it's kind of like my area that I see in support, and we hand those off to the devs. And then of course it goes on a list, but that list is unfortunately long with tons and tons of things we want to do. We have no shortage of enthusiasm here at Trade Ideas to make the product better. We just have to, make sure that we're doing the things that affect, the most amount of people, the most amount of the time, right? And that's always a hard balance where if we make things too customizable, then they become too complicated. If we don't make them customizable enough, then they're not, they can't do what the trader wants. So, it's a balance, like all things. Okay, guys, I am going to switch things back to Barry. It was nice hanging out with you all today. And just a reminder, we are here the same hour from noon to 1, Monday to Friday, a different trader every time. You haven't seen Andy up here in a while, but he's moving. And when he's back and his internet's good enough, he'll be on here as well. Come on by to talk with the markets or just kind of... if you've got a question, really, this is one of the best ways to do it because we're always looking to answer them here. And it's a lot easier to show you than it is just to send you an email or something back. So if you guys have got questions, just write them down and come on by. And the beauty of it is these videos then become live. So then maybe your question can be seen by someone else and can be kind of a teaching tool for them as well. So I will talk to you guys soon, and have a good weekend.
Okay, I've just resumed the YouTube feed. This PRDO keeps moving down. I just wish it were below yesterday's low, but it's getting closer and closer, PRDO. And now the market is starting to also move down a little bit. A couple of red bars right now. What time is it? 1 o'clock. So this is the new one. This is the latest red bar. All right, Michael, I figured it out. Okay, now I understand how to get to. So I'm moderator in the room. Okay, I think anyway. Yes. Okay, now I can post links. Okay. This is in the YouTube feed. Well, guys, okay. If La Jolla somehow gets up over, say, that 420 mark, I'm going to create a price alert right around there, right in this area here. You can see all that consolidation. It dropped, trying to come back. I mean, it may have a go. Yeah, it's a virus play now. La Jolla is now a virus play. So it may have a go. Let's take a look at Viacom. Now, I traded that one quite a bit in the good old days before all this. Okay, that must be an alert to do something. All right, now this is starting to, so there's the gold, there's the silver, there's dividends. I'm sorry, I'm wrong, forget it. Look at XLE actually, XLE. All right, am I going to short this one now? It was long earlier. AMCR starting to drift down. The low yesterday was 650. It's too close. Too close to the low of yesterday. All right, well, things have really slowed down for me here. Meatloaf sandwich alert. I wonder why. I'm just confirmation, I guess, that there is presidential announcement at 3 p.m. I wonder why he wouldn't wait for the market to close unless he thinks that it's going to. No, I don't like shorting it because it's too close to the yesterday's low. I mean, it could keep cruising down there, but see, yesterday's low is 656 or whatever. When I looked at it, it was, well, in fact. No, I don't even know what happened there. So it just popped up. So no, it was too close to yesterday's low for my liking. So I'm sure I said that. So unless the White House thinks that Making the announcement at 3 p.m., an hour before the market closes, might put some juice into the market. That's all I can think of. Normally, these things I would think would wait for the market to close, but anyway. See what happens at 3. I'll be gone. All right, guys, I have to do my video now. Okay, let's put that in there, and then just the announcement, the general announcement. And maybe I'll do some trades in the simulator when I come back. Excuse me, show you how that works. Okay, guys, so we will see you at wait a minute, around 1:50, probably earlier. now back, okay? Anybody in the YouTube, listening to me on YouTube, can you see now if I just posted a link? I just want to see if, make sure you guys can see it. You don't have to click on it or anything. If you want to, you can. But if you're following me in the YouTube feed, can you see the link? This is the link I just posted. Okay, potential customer, 25%. I don't know when a 25%. I'm pretty sure that I know we're going to have one around St. Patrick's Day, so next week, but I think it's 20%. The next 20%, I have no idea. Probably the next market holiday or something like that, okay? But 20%. If you only, I mean, I don't know, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a standard subscription or a premium subscription, monthly, yearly? Premium yearly. Okay. Definitely though, 20%. Yeah, guys, the market is, yes, sirree, maybe, just maybe. We're getting back to the, getting close to the highs of the day. Getting closer. I don't think so, Calvin. I'd be the world's worst car salesman. You don't have to take it if you don't want to, believe me. All right, so WRK has now just gone over the high of yesterday. So it is having a nice comeback day, like a lot of stocks. And Pilgrim's PPC, it's easier to say. Another comeback day. So many like this now. We will see so many charts that look like this. 3 big down days, and then today a comeback day, assuming this holds. You know, we don't know. Unfortunately we still have 2 hours and 15 minutes left. The YouTube link. Just give me a second. Actually, I can. I'll just pop the whole thing in, okay? There actually is not a second. There is no second entry that I see. Nothing has triggered in terms of the time. See, it didn't hit the stop. Okay? It didn't hit the stop. It has to actually hit the stop. Or at some point, not necessarily get stopped out. Oh, you're talking about the second entry. I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking about the re-entry. Okay. Now I get it. None today. No RKD, you cannot get a 50% discount. Can you see the link on top? You don't have to, I just want to check if you can actually see the link though. That's all. I think you can now. One big few so far for my my wife's stock. See if it takes out the high of yesterday at some point. No, no, this is not this is company stuff, you know. This is all part of the employee stock plan. So no, no, no. You know, there are so many of these that I've never even heard of before that have been popping up, like the EV floating rate income, EFT. You know, I've seen this sort of thing now a lot, like the munis and look at the some financials, TSLX, TPG Specialty Lending. Interesting break here, 1844. All right, let's take a look at what Real is talking about, liking work over 1802. So I'll stick an alert at 1804. Let's put an alert right there, 1804. I think you need the market on your side. So as long as the market continues to move a little bit higher. When I say you, I'm not talking to you specifically, Real. The Royal U. Boy, look at all these bounce back plays. Look at international paper, IP up $3, 338, 11%, huge volume. Look at the move it's had with the market, And this is definitely, I mean, there are very few what I'm going to call alpha stocks out there. There are way more stocks that are just tracking what the market's doing. I would say learn though, LRN. I know Real mentioned this a lot earlier. This is in the watch list. Learn, you know, homeschool learning or education. You know, it had a fine week last week or 2 weeks ago, even last week. But look at yesterday. Remember, the market was down huge. One of the very few stocks that would have been up. I don't think so. I know you're asking if it's a toilet paper company. I don't think so. Obviously, it's paper, but I may be wrong. Another one horribly beaten up, WestRock, WRK. Getting close to Real's trigger, a little over 1802 for the work, WORK. And there it is. Holding 18, 1804, 1807, 1804, 1808, 18. It didn't hold 18 so far. Not holding 18 completely. 1798 to 1805. I'm just basically calling out the bid ask. 1803. I'd love to see a bit of about 1810. Really clear that 18. Boy, it's a lot of action. 37 million shares. It's an earnings play. Only concern, of course, is that the initial reaction, but that might have been overall market reaction too. Release earnings after hours. A big slide. Actually got positive in the pre-market. Yeah, I still have an hour to go. Even 3 o'clock. If that in fact is going to be when the White House talks. I know it's scheduled for 3, but you never know. It may be a little bit later. Certainly not holding anything over the weekend. (1805, 1810, 1806, 1810). Market is still strong. We're over 1,000 now. Remember when being over 1,000 up meant something? I'm just watching it like a hawk. And I'm talking about the work. I'd like to see a bid of about 1810. Not that that absolutely means it's going to run off 18, but gives me a little more confidence. So close. It's like a cat and mouse game right now. 1809, 1810. We'd be putting a whole number stop on it if possible. The problem is that it can be pretty whippy, as long as they keep going up market. Meanwhile, T-Bio, guys, T-Bio, cheaper one, moving higher, 866 or 858 on the alert. T-Bio. Meanwhile, NCLH cruised off 11. Well, look, the longer it holds over 18, the better. You know, give people confidence that maybe that's a decent area to stop. Market has to keep going higher, I believe, for this to keep moving higher. Talking about the work. Sorry, guys. I just don't want to miss it if it does pop. So I'm just concentrating on that work. All right, guys. Well, I took it. What did I get it at? At 1810. Okay. But if it gets anywhere close to 18, I'm out. I'm just gonna call it a day. And I'm just watching the SPY to make sure the SPY keeps moving a little bit anyway. Some tremendous bounce plays. Look at the. I mean, I was short this one a while ago. Okay, CAJ. There's Learn LRNE. LRN. Right at the 200-day moving average, 2408. 2408. Okay, wow, man, oh man. Okay, guys, I just was going to say I got out at 1820. Don't like the market is starting to drop a little bit. basically just a 1-for-1. I'm out 1820 on the work. I will get back in maybe if it hits 1820 again, but I'm watching the market. The market is dropping just a little bit. I'm just not trusting anything. So big 10 cents, had a 10-cent stop, made 10 cents. So however, I can always get back in if it gets back up, say to that work. Let's see now. If it gets back up to say 1820, 1822 or so, I can always get back in. Whoa. I mean, look how it is tracking the market. Work is tracking the market. You had to watch the market like a hawk. No, that's a little strange, William. Okay, first of all, I just want to make sure screen sharing is still working, right? We did have a problem with Firefox earlier this week, but screen sharing is still working. Just want to make sure. Maybe somebody just say yes. Anywhere, I don't care if it's in stocks only or off top. Okay, thank you. And you can hear me, obviously. Okay. How am I going to help William? Maybe try to do a refresh. You can't see my screen, but well, there's no point putting that there. But I mean, there. If you can see the gear is, I think it's towards the right-hand side in the trading room, and then right beside it, there's a refresh, reload the room. See if that helps. You're the first to have that issue when I'm using Firefox. So I have a feeling it's something on your end. It's certainly not, it will not be on my end this time. And maybe reload the room. I mean, wow, look at work, guys. I mean, I'm not saying, wow. Well, yeah, OPK is trying to make a bit of a comeback here. Let me just reduce this a little bit. I don't know why I'm getting this flicker on my. I've noticed it in the last little while. All right, for fun, I'm going to turn these on. See if any trades get taken. All right, I see you post Aja. Yeah, I remember you posted that GSMG yesterday. Not bad, yeah. Bracket trading using discretionary strategies. I think, Calvin, that we are looking at, this has been brought up before. The problem is, I think, is that one order canceling the other doesn't work. And I know we've brought it up before. I'm the wrong guy. As you know, I hate passing the buck on all this. You want one order cancels the other, right? That's what you want. Yeah. Let me ask if that has been, I know it was looked at, and these are things that have to happen. I get it. But I do remember that it didn't work that way. Let me just see if I can find somebody. Oh, I see. With other strats, but you're talking like a discretionary strat, like something you're creating, right? What is the default strat? You mean these things? I don't even know what you know what? I've never even used these. I don't even know how you use them. You talking about these? Well, you'll have to educate me. I don't even know how to use these. I mean, because for me, they're just, there's nothing, you can't edit it. Oh, I see. They're connected to these. Any particular reason why you would do it? I've never even considered doing it. So I have looked at this, but I see I can't even edit I can't do anything with it. I'm not sure. No, I understand that. I do get that. They work only intraday right now. They work fine intraday. Maybe just buy and sell on the chart. I don't even know how to use this. I completely have no idea how to use this. I mean, if I click on the positions tab, yeah, fine. But I mean, now I'm just buying. I'm putting in the shares I want. Okay, Calvin, I'm sorry. Which let me do one right now. See, one of the things is in my strategies, I do not have a profit target. Okay, but I'm assuming. I mean, I can do all this manually. Let's just buy 300. What's the market? Yeah, let's buy 300 shares right at the market. Okay. Now I'm going to put a Now, again, you're tasking me here because I don't do this at all. But I'm assuming that if I want to put a target, I think I probably have to do it twice. Okay, and then if I want to put a stop. All right. Okay, well, I did it manually though. So let's now what I want to do, you see, this is what I'm trying to see. I want to bring this up and get stopped out. I want to see this disappear. So you're saying this stop price doesn't work? So if I move this up, when you say it doesn't work, okay, well, let me keep moving it up. Aha. Unless I'm just impatient. Okay, well, okay, I can't speak, of course, with IB. I mean, in the simulator, it did take it out. It did take it out in the simulator. But I'm noticing that this is still not, this did not get out. No, I don't. I don't do it. I just don't do it. Sorry. Again, you're better off. You know who you talk to. I mean, I know you know who to talk to. Talk to Michael. He's there. I know you know that. But what I'm interested in, I thought this would disappear once I got out of the trade. Now I know, excuse me, sorry. I mean, I know I can go into the orders. And I notice also it took these two trades, auto trading, I think. All right, so the Dreamer, I will indulge you. So I will do this then with my chart long target. I'll put a target in. I'll just make a dollars. I never put targets, so that would be the offset, right? 50 cents. Okay, so dollars. I mean, I guess it's okay if you step away. I just never put targets, but okay. So there's the offset. So just like that, right? Okay, so I'm going to say okay. Now, let me get out of everything. No, not the T-Bio. Okay, I just, what I want to do is I want to get out of the, just take another trade, HLX. So HLX, so I'm going to buy it using this. Okay, so I wanted to buy at 199, so the price is a little higher. There we go. So I just bought it. Now, I did, but I don't see the target. I don't see the 50 cents. I don't see on the screen. See, you're teaching me something here, the Dreamer. So why don't I see, at $2.50, some kind of a line? Oh, I see. So I have to, you're saying I have to actually, well, that's crazy. Are you saying I have to do this? Well, okay, let me make sure I did save it. Maybe I didn't save it. It's possible I didn't save it. Ah, that's right. Okay, my bad. Okay, I didn't save it. That's all, I guess. Let me do it again. Okay, now let's see. Okay, so it's definitely there. Okay, I'll do it again. Take another one. See, SITC. Yeah, I want to leave this in here because I want to see what happens when it hits this. I want to see. So let's go Rosetta Stone. Okay, again, this is just for demonstration purposes, so I'm going to click on the buy. I'm going to buy it right there. There you go. Okay, I see it. I'll leave it in. Why not? Yeah, somebody was talking about the AFI. I mean, I mentioned this earlier. Tremendous little play for the last few days in the face of the market. And then I noticed it did drop. I forgot about it. And yeah, nice, tremendous bounce now on it. Now, obviously, guys, I mean, this this T-Bio, on the auto trading, so it got up to, and you'd never let that happen, okay? I mean, you can't let that happen. You're paying attention. Obviously, I'm not paying attention. So what is the one that I just took? The Rosetta Stone? Okay, so now, yes, now you can move your stops up and down. Yes, I see. Oh, that makes sense. I guess it's okay to maybe put a target, and then as it starts approaching, you don't have to get out, of course, and you just move it up and down. Yeah, okay. I like it. Yeah, try William. I mean, he suggests Chrome as the browser, but I mean, I'm projecting the room using Firefox, okay? But yeah, try Chrome and see what happens. But I know most people, it doesn't really matter now what browser they use. But anyway, yeah, try it. My projecting in Firefox has meant that we don't have to go through the nonsense of disabling hardware accelerators. But try it. Yeah, try Chrome and see if it works. Well, Calvin, you know, if yeah, huge thanks to Dreamer. I wasn't. I mean, I knew to do this. I just don't put targets. But if that, you know, I wish I'd known. I mean, because that's relatively simple to do. I just don't put targets. Another well, at least a 250 point swing. All right, now here's something I don't understand though, because this was supposed to take enough shares so that if I moved against me, I'd be out $100. I don't remember. Maybe did I move my stop up? Maybe I moved the stop up. Yeah, he's a big user of B+. Yikes. Residio Deo. Resi. You do like these beaten up stocks, don't you, AJ? I do too. IFRX, I haven't seen this one for a while. Low float, 15 million in the float. This is somebody from YouTube. High 306. So yeah, yesterday's high was 306. Then looking left, 373. Yeah, this could have a interesting run. Don't know what happened to it here. I'm not sure that is a true meltdown or something else happened with the IFRX. Are they another virus stock? I'm asking in YouTube. IFRX, another virus stock? I can't quite tell. Virus stocks have not done well today. I mean, not certainly nothing sustained. Yes, you're right. A lot of volume coming into OPK. Had the big pop in the pre-market, gave it up, trying to come back, but there's a lot of volume. You're right. That could turn out to be, what time is it? 2:24. So another 6 minutes for this bar to close. And it's getting relatively close to the openings. No, I'm sorry. These are 11 o'clocks. Yeah, I mean, these were huge at the open. Not virus? Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I was going to suggest. I mean, the only thing, the room is a little more robust. Obviously, there is more interaction with traders. I can do a little bit more in the room, but certainly, if this persists for him, I don't know if he's back in. You know, he can always follow me on YouTube. I have been answering him actually. Real. You're talking about not being able to see my screen? Yeah, thanks. Well, OPK guys, hey, who knows? I mean, OPK, what's the high right now? Normal opening 945. The high was about 218. This could be one of those that has a nice little move into the close. Well, Asia, you have piqued my interest in this IFRX. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a price alert up around 311, see if it takes that out. As the market starts slip sliding away again. Wow, look at X10, Xterran, EXTN. I mean, it's been a little choppy, but boy, from the initial alert, 626, 740 now. Wow. Drive-through testing. We get a hamburger with that. Okay, guys, I'm just going to put myself on mute for about 3 minutes. All right, I'm back. Well, guys, this is an interesting idea from somebody in the YouTube room. IFRX. Trying to come back here. Lots of room, of course. It's not a virus play. Low float, 15 million in the float. AJ, if you're still in the room, what happened here? Is this truly a disaster, or is it something else? You know, like a name change, or like when is this? This is last year. You don't often see anything like that, so. So you see what happened to all these auto trading on the long side as the market just started giving up. So I mean, that's why I didn't put it on auto trading. I was just putting it there just as a demonstration, but you need the market on your, you don't, it doesn't have to be ripping higher, but it just can't be dropping 400 points. Okay. I mean, it's just, I don't know what next week is going to bring, but all right, well, work is back. Work is back. But I think most people probably would have got stopped out here at 1775. I mean, I don't know, especially if you got in at 1804 or whatever. But anyway, work is back. But I'd love to see the market on our side. But look at this, yeah, it's excellent now. Excellent now. It is ripping now. Well, for a while anyway. Oh my goodness, 2:34, guys. Wow, what a long week. Okay, so I'll be shutting the room down around 3. I will stay later if there are questions. Now, I may stay just in case the White House has come on at 3 o'clock, but you know, these things can get delayed. There is a bit of a showman aspect to these conference press releases or conference, whatever you want to call them, presentations. You too, Robert. Have a great weekend. I have to be able to convince my wife that we can go outside. Pretty whippy real. It's still pretty whippy. But if it holds, yeah. Okay, I see a late alert from the AI. I missed it completely. It hasn't really moved very much, but haven't seen this one for a long time. Solid Biosciences, SLDB. This used to be a kind of a favorite of mine. Always thinking maybe if it could break out of here. This was always this hope, and then this happened. But I was really thinking, man, if it could ever break out of here, I mean, look left. Look how much room there was, or is. Summit, SMMT, Summit. This is moving well. What are you looking at here? Now look at that monthly chart. You can see if it can clear 3 or so. Not today, but maybe next week. If this can clear 3, probably a virus play. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is for next week, I'm going to stick an alert around 294, just underneath 3. See if it takes that out sometime next week. If it does, I mean, just look left on the room with the room that it has. Well, why couldn't you do this? I mean, I don't think this is going in at the market so much as it's, I've got my offset here of 10 cents, so it'll take it 10 cents above. So you want to you want to limit order it though. You want to literally I'm not 100% sure. I mean, if the spread was a penny, you take it, right? This is what this limit does, though. I mean, it'll limit you to how far outside of market are you willing to go? Or outside are you willing to go? So for instance, I'm looking at Summit, okay? It's 222, 231. Yeah, I'm not sure how you would actually say, okay, I mean, that's just too spready. So obviously what I would be doing then is in the strategy, I would load a strategy that had maybe a spread filter, maybe. And then designate that as your chart long strategy. That makes sense? But you know what? I'll let the dreamer. I'll let the dreamer answer you. Well, this is not my play. This is Real's play. The answer really is no. I just finding it a little too volatile. The market is moving down. I'm ready to. I'm personally ready to wrap it up. Now, it's holding that 8 EMA. Your little bottoming tails, I guess, on that 5-minute chart. But I'd like to see the market helping it a bit rather than at least not hindering it. I mean, it's been all over the place. I mean, look again, after hours yesterday, way down. This morning, I think it actually got positive just briefly and dropped. So I mean, it's pretty choppy. I mean, it would have to get into the 30s for me to even consider it, and it might. Just wish, but look at what the market's doing. I have no idea, Danny boy. I was mentioning that. Okay, well, I mean, there it goes. I mean, work is working. Some bottoming tails. You have a topping tail. So, there still is a little uncertainty. But it did hold, I guess, that 8 EMA. Though that is an 8 EMA with the pre-market data. So that may, according to Real, that may not be correct. But anyway, yeah, I have no idea. The AFI is definitely intriguing. I mean, look what it did yesterday. Remember, the market was down 2,000, and also the day before. Now, it has been beaten up, but it's trying to come back. Oh, I see. Okay. Calvin, I get you. I guess, of course, I'm always looking, if I'm doing this, I'm always looking at the time and sales and the spread. So if I saw something crazy spready, I just wouldn't do it. It's really that simple. Now, right now it's a 3-cent spread. On this one right now, I mean, I guess it could expand to 10 cents in a heartbeat. Well, I'm always looking, even in the simulator, I'm always looking at the spread to see what the spread is. Because I'm trying to keep it real world. So, that's not that. Yeah, that's IB. That's time and sales in IB. So I'm always looking at this. So again, this is what I'm trying to say. I am trying to keep it as real world as possible. What would I do if it was like real money? So, I mean, if I saw a crazy spread, I wouldn't be taking it. So that is time and sales in Interactive Brokers, yes. Well, this is definitely one I want to keep an eye on for Monday, IFRX. It is using pre-market data, yes, Stan. Yeah, you too, Thomas. I can't remember the last time holding a trade over the weekend. I certainly wouldn't do it this weekend, but I can't remember the last time. I'm just not much of a swing trader. It's that simple. All right. Well, listen. Okay, the market now it's starting to help this work. And it's not hindering it, at least. See, the minute it stopped going down, we're kind of stabilized a bit here. So this actually looks pretty good if the market doesn't keep going down, and obviously if the market goes up. Next area would be, well, 19 if it can get there. High was 1849, so in the previous 15-minute candle, yeah, I mean, Danny Boy, maybe somebody else wants to chime in. I mean, I'm just not into swinging anything like that either. I'm not going to swing a virus stock. I'm not going to swing a cruiser, an airline, energy play, all sorts of things. All sorts of things can go wrong. It's just news. Too much news comes out. Yeah, I don't know if you're kidding. Definitely no thoughts on the VIX. I'm just not the guy to answer those sort of questions. I mean, we're in a different market, guys, where the market goes up and down intraday, 400 or 500 point swings, just like that. So. And look at work come down again. So that's you know what? I'm done. I'm done trading. Not forever. Yeah, you see what happened there. This took a short then on SITC because it hit this up here, and that's not what should happen. The minute I got stopped out, this should have disappeared. It didn't, and then it treated this like a short. Yeah, this is the only problem with working in remote locations all over the place. I'd love to sit down with somebody and just say, okay, why is this happening? I mean, it's, I can explain it and they can see, but why did that happen? Why did it take a short when I got stopped out here but it treated this like a conditional short up in this area. I mean, that's what it did. And I guess, in theory, I guess that's okay if that's what you want. Well, work is, if you can handle it. I mean, that got all the way back down to 1812, I think. But that could be the start of a red bar ignored, actually. Not quite. But close, very close. Yeah, wow. This is look at the volume that came into Codex. I thought you were gone, Larissa. You were gone. You said bye. So that is not Larissa. Okay, that's somebody else posing as her. And I kid. Well, I actually tried to get some work where I wanted it. I didn't get it, so I'm just. Market is flat. At least it's not moving against it, so it may move higher. But who knows, Calvin? $2.55, so maybe 5 minutes. OSUR. Wow. I mean, I know somebody mentioned this one earlier too. Look at this thing. Ah, man, I missed that work by a couple of pennies, but oh well. I know I said I wasn't going to take any more trades, but the market at least is flat, so it's not moving down. So if you're in that work, it could continue to work. All right, guys. So it's 2:57. I'll be wrapping up pretty soon here. Again, I'll always stick around. More questions. No, I'm from Vancouver. Sorry to hear that, tough guy. No, okay, work at 19. OSUR continues its surge. Man, I don't know if they're a virus stock. I know it's surgical and medical. It doesn't seem like they should be, but all right, guys. I think that's it for me. Okay, so have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see what happens at 3 o'clock, but I'll be watching. I just won't be in the room anymore. Okay, so we'll see you at 3. We'll see you at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. I have no idea what's going to happen next week, but that's what kind of makes it interesting. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you then. Stick around, just see what happens. How many did? Something's weird about the carburetor. It's never been like what I would call silent. stock starts to, so that's not I'm going to share size, but if the stock starts to